and so will Neptune and Chiron. That sounds like another forecasting class that I'll do sometime later this year as we get in, or beginning of 2016, as the nodal axis actually gets into Virgo Pisces. So I'll go back and forth to referring this to you, but again, I'm going to be talking fast. You're welcome to interrupt me or ask questions of Leroy anytime you have them. I suspect that I might have a little more intermediate understanding of astrology rather than beginning here as we go deeper into this information. Thank you for letting me take a drink. So when we're looking at Saturn transiting through the first house in Sag, there has to be a total rebirth of self-identity. There has to be honesty with self. There's a rebirthing of self-determination. Many times Saturn transiting through the first house brings on renewed or increased responsibility with self. Now, because it's in Sag, we're going to start exposing any limitations of our beliefs around ourselves. We're going to expose false beliefs about ourselves that we perhaps have been conditioned with. Excuse me, I'm sorry about the burp. We're also going to have to work with really believing in ourselves. Whether it's a Sagittarius rising or it's far enough along that it's a Scorpio rising, we still have Sag, first house, Sagittarius. I'm looking to be deeply honest with myself. I'm trying to get to the truth of who I am. And I have got to believe in the essence of myself. Saturn in the first, 7th house polarity, Gemini on the 7th house cusp, or Gemini in 7th house. It's going to activate the relationship axis, 1st, 7th. It's going to be bringing relationship changes. If there have been lies within ourselves, lies with others, or others have been lying to us, it's quite possible that the lies could be exposed. And both sides, ourself and others. And again, I will look at the 7th house more broadly than one-on-one dating. It's going to be anybody who's in your life beyond a casual acquaintance level. And so we're going to be really striving to evolve all of our relationships into more and more honesty with ourselves and with others. Now, Saturn over the ascendant is going to bring opportunity for new beginnings of all kinds. New careers possibility, or new beginnings or changes or promotions with our career. Again, here's the new responsibilities that are coming. And what we're going to be looking at here with Pluto Capricorn, referring you back to Saturn, waning semi-square Pluto, then waning semi-sextile Pluto. Pluto Capricorn in the second is going to be very vested in security. It's a double earth sign, Capricorn second house, that might be wiped out in some way. And so if we're looking at Saturn Pluto here, there's going to be old flight Sag. Let's just go on. I don't want to look deep. There's going to be old patterns of just running away, moving on. That first house, you know, the spark is lit and then it's out. I'm out of here. And so it's going to be a little uncomfortable for Saturn in this first house signature, because Pluto's not going to let it run away. It's going to have it going deep in to look at these security needs and to go for deeper levels of inner security and inner self-reliance. And we want to be doing that with this Pluto Cap transit so that we're really going forward in the ways that are highest and best for us. Now, this right here is Neptune, Chiron, last quarter squares. Saturn makes last quarter squares, crises in consciousness, 3 times to both Neptune and to Chiron. I refer you back here. Here's Saturn, Last quarter squares to Neptune and Chiron right here over the next few years. Last quarter squares to Neptune are 2015-16. Last quarter squares to Chiron are 2016-17. So you can see all the way through the 3-year transit, Saturn is in this last quarter to Neptune and Chiron. So here we have they're going to be moving through the 4th house in Pisces, double water signature. We're going to have to get emotionally real with ourselves and with others. And we could possibly be wanting to avoid going deep. We could be doing some emotional neglect. Think of all this Piscean energy. We could have some emotional victimization going on, and here's the self-honesty we need to be addressing. And so Saturn and Sag has got to be able to go deep with these Neptune Chiron transits in the 4th house. And of course, all of this takes into consideration evolutionary state of the soul. Consensus will be avoiding. Individuating will be trying to break free and search. Spiritualizing will be trying to make sense of it all on the deepest levels possible. And then we have to look at the chart. What are the aspects going on? Do we have planets that have conjunctions that will bring death and rebirth? Oppositions, then there's going to be something that we have to let go of. Again, I'd have to do this series in 12 classes if we wanted to go deep and use actual charts. I'm trying to give you the gist of it and have you apply it to your own charts. You can give me feedback. I haven't taught it this way before. You can give me feedback on whether or not this works, makes sense, or if we have to do it a different way. And so there is Saturn and Sag, instead of running away, has to really be able to do that involution, go within, settle into those emotions and how it really feels, and then see how it makes changes within oneself moving forward. First house energy can get quite defensive and argumentative, and especially if they're getting emotionally triggered, which will happen all through this transit with these two Pisces 4th house. There also is the grand trine in fire, and that again, Jupiter's last quarter square to Saturn, Jupiter last quarter square Saturn, and Saturn square the nodes. I'll treat these two pretty close together through these houses, even though I kind of bullet pointed some keywords for you. First of all, this grand trine in fire. Saturn, as it moves through Sag, here's the trine. Uranus, South Node, Jupiter in Leo. This will mainly be 2015 when we look at this grand trine. When we move into 2016-17, these nodes will have moved into Virgo, Pisces. Jupiter will have moved into Virgo along with, again, Neptune, Chiron down here in Pisces. So you can see where the grand trine in fire comes from. Then you're going to see where Saturn square the nodes comes into the picture as the next 2 years go by. So we're going to have a grand fire trine in fire houses, double fire signatures with Jupiter in Leo, Saturn in Sag, and of course Uranus South Node Aries. So it's just going to emphasize the creativity, the adventures, the movement of travel. Of course, having a double fire grand trine, we're really going to have to be careful of excess and, here's another one, grandiosity. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Very good.
Just, going over the top. Was that it? Grandiosity.
Grandiosity. Yeah, I like that word.
We're going to have to be careful with that one. with this house transit. And one of the things we can look at with that first house is what we call a superhuman complex or a God complex. That first fiery archetype coming forth into manifestation can think that it's, again, superhuman. It's Mars energy. It can do anything. Or it can have the inferiority complex about that relative to seventh house polarity, and everybody else does it better. So watch some of this tendency and energy that's going on. You want to slow it down. You want to be able to balance it out with this Saturn house transit. Apply some of that Saturn discipline. When Jupiter in Leo, ninth house, its own house, wants to just run away all over the place. And of course, Uranus, South Node in Aries, fifth house. We want to reach for some really deep understanding about our childhood and love patternings as a child. Again, these two will be here in this fifth house. So there's an ease of understanding if we make the effort to search deeper and know more. But we also can just get carried away with that fire element and go all over the place and whoops, and then